Oh God, he's doing that thing again.
Can you stop being a baby and introduce the show?
Fine, at least say your name. I'm Laura Medeiros.
And I'm Megan Swaine.
And this is Bad with Numbers. So, I was thinking about it. Who would you want, I mean, celebrity-wise, to voice your baby self?
That's tough. I mean, for me, it's going to have to be somebody Scottish, right?
Probably, if you want the authenticity.
I mean, right, exactly. I mean, there's no point in me being voiced by, like, Morgan Freeman. That's just going to, as great as that would be, but...
So, like, Liam Neeson, or...
Liam Neeson is Irish, thank you very much.
Sorry. He could probably do Scottish.
Do you know what? He did a movie called Rob Roy that was filmed near where I used to live, and he did a passable Scottish accent in it,
So rate Mike Myers' Scottish accent.
Oh, God.
What's, like, the lowest negative number that one can achieve?
Negative infinity to and beyond, or...
Yeah,
exactly. I believe we covered this in Short Circuit.
So yeah, okay, so I'm going to say Ewan McGregor, okay?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because we're from kind of the same part of Scotland, the same area. However, I know for a fact that I would end up with fucking Shrek.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's brought it full circle himself. I'm so proud of you.
I've done a doody in my diaper, Mummy.
Perfect. Yes. Casting already, like, perfect. Megan?
Jane Lynch. Maybe.
Oh, that's a good one. I could see Jane Lynch voicing Baby You.
Or somebody with a real good deadpan, like Janine Garofalo or
Janine. Yes, these are
like
good
that.
shouts. Who voiced Daria?
Oh, that was. Oh, Jesus! I should know this. Like a hardcore Daria fan.
Let's just say it's Daria herself voicing you. Then. Mm-hmm. Laura, who's yours? Who's your inner monologue?
My gut said Emma Stone.
Again, totally see it.
Right? But then I started thinking about it and how they kind of went like really weird with this casting choice. And I was just like, you know who would have been great? Be Arthur, my gal.
Yes. Yes.
I would have loved her, and her sarcasm just would have made my heart happy. I don't know.
I mean, there's something kind of amusing about having a newborn baby voiced by like a septuagenarian lady like B. Arthur.
Yes, right? we need a baby that's voiced by Betty White.
Yeah, or like fucking before he died, George Burns or something. Just like
oh my God. But yeah, I think those.
Helen Mirren.
I mean, these are all better casting choices than this movie, right?
Oh
yes,
infinitely,
a million times.
Holy cow. Welcome to Bad with Numbers, a podcast where we talk about mostly terrible sequels. This week on the show, we are talking about Look Who's Talking 2 from the year 1990, directed by Amy Heckerling. Amy Heckerling, when she's firing on all cylinders, she is a fucking great director.
Oh.
She did two of my all-time favorites, Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Clueless.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huh?
Son of a gun. Okay. This one was really hard just because we did the bad one last week too. So like 2 in a row.
The show is kind of called Bad with Numbers, right?
I know. But like I can usually argue for once. Or, you know, this one just, oh my God.
Yeah, just Amy Heckerling she also did Loser, which was the Jason Biggs, Mina Suvari movie, probably like most notable for the Teenage Dirtbag video. Anybody want to guess Mina Suvari's character name in that one? There's a little American Pie 2 callback there for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle?
It's Heather. She's always just Heather, right?
Heather.
Just Heather. Yeah, this movie, you're right. This movie was, it was kind of tough to get through this one.
Which is weird. It's only an hour and 15?
I mean, this is barely a movie in terms of length, right? It's an hour and 15 with credits, which is kind of alarming. That
you said it, like, I think last week when we were talking about it, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be fine. And I got to, I think, 10 minutes in, and I was just like, I got to do something else. So I started cleaning out my bathroom drawer, which now looks immaculate, by the way. But I finished the movie before I finished cleaning, so...
Yeah.
Multitasking.
I mean, A, what kind of state was your bathroom drawer in? But B, also, that's a productive use of this movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is very much what we would define as a background movie, as in, like, I could just be filing my fucking taxes while this thing is on.
Yeah.
Probably a good idea.
I was really into that first Look Who's Talking movie. It came out at like the perfect point when I was just starting to see like more adult geared stuff when I went to the cinema. Mm-hmm. It was like rated 12 in the UK. I think I was 9 when I saw it because the UCI in Clydebank did not give a shit. God bless them. And I came out of that movie thinking that it was probably the best film I'd ever seen because I was 9 and all 9-year-olds are fucking idiots, right? Like you don't cultivate a taste when you're 9 years old. You just think whatever the last thing you saw was the best thing you saw. Mm-hmm. So when like they started dropping the trailer for the sequel a year later, I was like literally marking days off on the calendar until it came out.
Aww.
Don't awe at that because this movie is not good.
No, I just think that idea is wholesome. It's like, aw, you were so wrong.
As we're finding out, I often am on this podcast. What were you guys' experiences with this franchise? Are you like familiar?
Both of them I think I saw on TV. And once again, I wouldn't be surprised if they were available at the corner store for rental, much like the Problem Child movies and other crappy family films that were available at the time. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw this one on TV.
Yeah, I didn't know John Travolta did movies outside of Grease and or Hairspray, so...
Oh, damn.
It's the death of innocence.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I knew, like,
I know, but...
I knew, but, like, did I really know?
Yeah, exactly. Did he really make Pulp Fiction? I mean...
Oh, shoot, you're right.
I'm kind
Damn.
of like, did he make Pulp Fiction?
Was he there?
Was that just a fever dream that I had? I don't know.
Yeah. Everybody shared the collective fever dream of Pulp Fiction.
No, his character was perfect for him in Pulp Fiction.
It was such a good movie.
Everything always happens when he's in the can. It's a running gag of his character. He's always taking a shit.
That movie fucking revived his career after he was starring in stuff like Look Who's Talking 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also in Pulp Fiction and also in Look Who's Talking 2, Bruce Willis.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I just, like, clearly I need to watch that movie again.
Do you think Tarantino was just sat there watching this on fucking cable one night and he was like, you know what would make a really cool crime movie? These two fucking dumbasses.
I mean, not gonna lie, there was a lot of scenes where I had fun imagining Bruce Willis in the sound booth saying these lines. I was like, oh, it's even more fucking adorable coming out of his actual mouth. Like me imagining him saying it into a microphone. I'm like, I want to see that.
I mean, look, if they made this movie today, that would just be like a fucking weird CGI de-aged Bruce Willis farting around in this film, right?
Probably.
I want that.
I don't want that because I'm literally shivering just thinking about it, and not the good kind of shiver either.
I mean, part of me kind of just wanted Bruce Willis to be playing the dad.
Yeah.
Not that he didn't do a good job voicing the baby, but I would have preferred to see him as the dad over John Travolta.
Yeah, I think I would like to see Bruce Willis in this movie and for the baby to not talk at all. So in order for him to be included, I'm good with him being the dad.
Just a regular movie with a baby in it is what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, it's weird because I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, so if we were to compare this to Problem Child 2, I had to remember. I've already pushed that shit to the back of my mind. I was like, what would I rather watch again? And yeah, for me to say Problem Child 2 is really, it shook me to my core because, wow, I did not like this one.
Look, this movie and the first Look Who's Talking movie were born out of this whole baby movie craze in the 1980s. Yeah. There was just a slew of these films. There was Three Men and a Baby.
Oh, yeah!
Diane Keaton was in Baby Boom. There was just a whole bunch of movies focused on babies, and I guess that somebody somewhere at TriStar Pictures just thought that the next escalation of this is that we have the baby, but the baby has a fucking monologue voiced by the guy from Moonlighting, which I don't know.
Oh my god, Three Men and a Little Lady is a much better film than this one.
Wait, Three Men and a Little Lady or Three Men and a Baby? Because Three Men and a Baby...
Men and a Little Lady was the sequel. And I remember it being decent. Obviously, it's not like, it's probably not an achievement of cinema or anything like that. The reason we watched it as a family was because our neighbor down the street is in a set carpenters union.
Sorry?
The street I grew up on, the guy that lived down the street, he actually owns a old flour mill, and he lives up in there and renovates it and stuff.
That is so cool.
He's a carpenter, and he's in the union for doing movie sets.
Oh,
so
wow, that is awesome.
One of the movies that he worked on was I think Three Men and a Little Lady.
I mean, that first Three Men and a Baby movie, that is one of those guilty movies of trying to pass Toronto off as New York as well.
Oh, it was in Toronto. Yeah, it was in Toronto. Yeah, my mom loves that movie because it had some of her favorite actors in it. Ted Danson. It had
Steve Guttenberg.
Fuck Gutenberg.
Hey!
Just kidding. And Magnum P.I. himself, which my mom had an eternal crush on.
Tom Selleck, man.
Tom Selleck.
OG Indiana Jones.
Wow,
yeah.
Tom Selleck. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Three sexy dudes.
Okay, let's do the historical box office thing for this movie. Look Who's Talking 2 opened on the 14th of December 1990. It finished, like so many of these sequels, second at the box office that weekend. Did like a solid but unspectacular 8 million. It went on to make 40 million overall, which is less than a third of what the first movie made a year before. I think this movie literally was rushed into production based on the success of the first film, because that first film was huge.
Is it the same kid?
I don't think it's the same kid, but it's the same director. It's Amy Heckerling did both of them.
Okay.
And I think she's on record as saying that she was kind of contractually pressured into doing this movie, which is probably why it feels like such a kind of slipshod movie. But that said, I went back and watched the original before I watched this. I think I mentioned it on our Blair Witch episode. It doesn't hold up so great.
Yeah.
Criminally, it's just not that funny.
Oh no.
Number one at the box office that weekend. And I guess part of the reason this movie didn't do as well as the first one is because everybody had kind of like jumped ship on the baby ideas and they wanted obnoxious preteens instead. Because number one was Home Alone.
No.
Which was in its fifth week, and it had already made like 100 million at that point.
Damn.
Which for 1990 money is a lot. It was on its way to becoming like the biggest comedy ever at that point. You know, Home Alone just sat at the top of that box office chart for like 12 weeks or something crazy like that.
And then Hughes looked at the baby craze and was like, I can do that, but better. And then he made Baby's Day Out.
And aren't we grateful for that?
At least the baby doesn't talk in it.
That's true. Number 3 that weekend was Edward Scissorhands, starring noted wine vampire Johnny Depp, and I love her, Winona Ryder. They just announced yesterday that Tim Burton is doing a live-action Wednesday Addams show for Netflix.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I don't need that. I'm okay.
They're like, he's making his TV debut, and I'm like,
I kind of feel like the Addams family's played out at this point. I feel like unless you've got a real hot take on it, maybe just leave it be.
I think the animated movie did it in for me.
Oh, really?
Well, the problem is that a lot of people haven't read the comics. A lot of people don't even know the comics exist. A lot of people are too young to have seen the sitcom from like back in the whatever era. Like when the 90s movies came out, it kind of split the difference between the two in that it took it didn't have the rights to copy the sitcom at all, so they got in trouble with some of the things they used, but they basically split the difference. It took some concepts from the show and combined and gothed them up so that they were more like the comic.
And we've said it already on this podcast, but Addams Family Values fucking rules. That's like one of the best sequels.
The plot is ridiculous, but it oddly enough it works.
Yeah, it really does. Number 4 at the box office that weekend was 1990's eventual Best Picture winner, Dances with Wolves.
Oh.
I imagine there may be some problematic depictions of things in that movie now.
You think?
Yeah, I imagine so. Number 5, recipient of Best Actress Oscar that year, Kathy Bates in Misery. That's a fucking great movie. That's like part of the Rob Reiner hot streak that he was on in the 80s and 90s. And also has James Caan getting his ankle smashed with a sledgehammer in like the most fucking brutal fashion. Like, in the book, she cuts his feet off, I think. I don't know. It's been a while since I read that, but...
I'm so glad I didn't read that one.
Yeah, but I think it's actually more brutal the way she does it in the movie. It's grim. We got another couple of sequels kicking around in the top 10 that weekend. The aforementioned Three Men and a Little Lady was in there. And the other sequel we've got in there is Predator 2, which I've probably seen more times than the first movie.
Oh, yeah, a lot of my friends have seen the second
Yeah,
one.
I kind of feel like it's underrated, and it has like an all-timer Gary Busey performance, so... that might be an episode for, I don't know, we'll see.
There are so many that, I mean, action franchises a lot of the time, like, there are franchises where the movies have nothing to do with each other, and then there are franchises where they directly, lead into each other, but I feel like there have been some pretty good, action sequels, because they'll create a formula, and it'll work with the first one pretty well, and then for the second and third one, they start kind of figuring out what they can
I mean, Lethal Weapon
tack
2
onto it.
is better than the first Lethal Weapon. That's like a prime example of that. Speed 2, not so much.
Speed 2, I think they thought they could get more out of that premise than they actually could.
I haven't actually seen it.
Speed 2?
No, because I refuse to, because no Keanu, no Neth buy ticket.
I think I may have seen it a long time ago and like bailed in the middle. Speed 1 is the one that ends off with the whole elevator thing, right? Where the guy blows up the cable in the elevator.
No, it starts with the elevator.
Oh, okay.
Starts in an elevator, moves to a bus, ends up on a subway train.
Oh yeah. That's a great sequence.
Spoilers. We're probably going to do Speed 2 in the near future.
Yeah, probably.
Sure, go for it.
I checked the Bad with Numbers crystal ball, and it looked like it was floating around in there.
taking a really great action movie and doing a shit sequel.
Well, I mean, my issue straight out the gate
right in our
is
wheelhouse.
It's called Speed, and it's on a fucking cruise ship that goes about 20 miles an hour. So. All right, let's get into Look Who's Talking To. This movie... This is like the most sitcom-y cast of sitcom casts, right?
Yep.
Because you've got John Travolta here, who made his name on Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yep.
We got Kirstie Alley, who got famous through Cheers and then was in like a billion other fucking shit sitcoms in the 90s. She was in one about fashion. I can't remember what the fuck it was called.
You're not thinking of Designing Women, are you? Because she wasn't in that.
No. Designing Women was the 80s.
Okay.
No, it was it Veronica's Closet? Something like that was her show. We got Bruce Willis, who made his name on Moonlighting. And we've got Roseanne Barr, who obviously was famous because of Roseanne.
Yep.
And even apparently like Twink Caplan, who plays like Kirstie Alley's best friend in this. Apparently she was in a sitcom version of Fast Times that ran for like 7 episodes in 1986. So this movie has sitcom pedigree.
Oh, yeah.
This thing starts... with like the iconic TriStar Pictures logo, the horse galloping towards the screen and sprouting wings to fly away. But hey, the horse is talking this time. I like a bit of studio logo tomfoolery, right? The best example I can think of, and we've talked about this movie before because this movie fucking slaps, is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. When they do the Universal logo, but they do it like an 8-bit NES game.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, like, as soon as that logo appeared and the horse was talking, I knew. And when you set off the tone of your movie already like that, it's just like, oh, good. All right.
Somebody at TriStar Pictures thought this was a hilarious idea. It's not. It's just like, shut up, horse.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, just after that, I messaged you guys and just said, this movie is garbage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get a reprise of what happens in the first movie where we see like the interiors of somebody's reproductive organs.
Oh, they did that in the first movie too? It's not even an original scene. Wow, okay. It's not the worst depiction of that I've ever seen. But my second comment is gross.
Yeah, it's
not because I think that's gross, but because they decided to start the movie with that, and I'm like, just why? I mean, now I have to think about the fact that it's John Travolta's sperm, and
we get Kirstie Alley's unfertilized eggs singing along to Sea of Love.
Yeah.
How does she know the words to this? Like, do all women's reproductive systems know the lyrics to like one-hit wonders from the 1950s. What the fuck?
Yeah. So he gets up to help his son.
Yeah, so John Travolta and Kirstie Alley they're getting it on.
Presumably while he has a giant boner. He just gets up.
Yeah, inappropriate.
Ugh.
Didn't even take a minor break, deal with that.
So Mikey is John Travolta's stepson because he's not John Travolta's kid.
Oh, really?
It's not John Travolta's kid.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I figured
it's-
because she said something about like being with him for a year and a half.
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go.
No, it's George Segal's kid in the
Okay.
first movie.
Got it.
Yeah, they're getting it on, and then he gets up because Mikey is having nightmares or hallucinations, it seems more like.
Mhm.
Like, what is his fucking frame of reference for these terrifying hallucinations that he's having that his toys are, like, possessed by monsters?
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
thing was
why I wrote
pretty
not
terrifying.
terrible stop motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are they, like, putting acid in this kid's sippy cup or
Yeah.
something?
That's like,
Because
wow,
these things are terrifying,
They are.
right?
They're
They're like...
freaking out, yeah.
Do you know what I watched this weekend, actually? Willy's Wonderland, which is, and it made me think of this because that movie it just came out, and it's basically Five Nights at Freddy's,
Nice.
starring Nicolas Cage,
Nice.
Sold.
and it's kind of awful, and Nicolas Cage does not utter a word for the entire fucking movie.
Nice.
Oh my god, I got to trick Brian into watching this movie.
Why would you hire Nicolas Cage and then not have him speak? And don't get me wrong, he's kind of good in the film, and the film's doofy as fuck, but
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, so that they can't make fun of him. If he doesn't say a
maybe
word,
maybe
then nobody can make fun of him.
I don't know. There's still plenty of scenes of him like hacking up animatronic fucking restaurant creatures. So
And this is called Willy's Wonderland.
it's called Willy's Wonderland. It just came out last
It
weekend.
looks great. Like, just aesthetically, very pleasing.
Lower your expectations on that one.
Is that
But,
on is that on Netflix? Where's that?
No, I paid money to rent that
Oh, okay.
because I'm an idiot.
Whatever.
So yeah, Travolta settles this kid down by like farting around with a Pee Wee Herman doll,
Yeah.
and he comes back to Kirstie Alley and she's asleep.
Because she's been reading an accounting book.
And also, he's kind of like, there's like a really questionable rape gag
Yes.
here, straight out of the
He
gate.
makes a joke about having sex with I was like, having sex with someone while they're asleep? Ah ha ha, that's rape. Fuck you, Travolta.
Yeah, that's
That's what I wrote.
kind of... Even though she kind of plays along, I was just like, no, movie, don't fucking do that, please.
Don't do that.
And then we get the credits. Also, anybody notice that this movie is using the same font as our podcast?
Yeah, it's mildly disturbing.
I was like, oh, fuck, we need to rethink our design.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, fun fact about human reproduction. I know there was that whole thing going around the internet saying that women are only fertile for like 48 hours or something. And strictly speaking, that's not an accurate way of looking at it because even though the egg descends and it's only there for 48 hours, sperm once they're up in there, can be there for like 4 or 5 days. So, statistically speaking, most of the time it's the sperm waiting for the egg to descend and not the other way around.
Wild.
Ah, and that is why men have no patience. Women have patience. Yeah, so we get this shot of Travolta's sperm
Basically raping an egg.
making its way down to her
was
egg.
She's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's...
How did you get there? Oh, yeah, because they sneak past
The diaphragm.
because she's wearing a diaphragm. Yes.
So,
Oh.
yeah. I don't know, just any of the scenes with the innards.
Yeah. Diaphragms used to be a big thing, and they're not a thing anymore, which is weird because...
I learned what a diaphragm was from this movie, so, something positive came out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this movie demonstrates why diaphragms are supposed to be specifically fitted, because every woman's internal bits are shaped differently, and diaphragms have to be properly fitted, otherwise they won't work. So she's wearing somebody else's diaphragm. That's the explanation.
Come on. Yeah, so the sperm penetrates the egg, and the end result somehow is a fetus voiced by Roseanne Barr.
Yep.
Which just seems like bad maths to me, but okay.
What she starts out as some weird little doll.
I told you we were going to have another plastic baby
I
in this
hate
one.
creepy as hell.
I warned
Yeah.
you guys.
So weird.
The next thing we see after this is Travolta's feeding this kid grapes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, don't do that. You're not meant to give children grapes.
Really?
They can choke and die. Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, shit.
Don't... Oh, Laura, what
No, I
have you
haven't done anything yet. I'm just thinking about how, like, thank God I don't have anything that depends on me. Because, good Lord, I would have thought grapes are fine for children.
No.
I'll keep it in mind.
You've got to, well, yeah,
Please.
you got to slice that shit up. You can't.
Yeah.
He's like literally throwing these at the kid's mouth, and I'm thinking, yeah, this kid is gonna choke in a minute, and it's gonna be brutal. But no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, do I want something dependent that can't handle grapes? Come on.
We get this fucking horrific scene of Travolta and Ali doing a song and dance number to try and get Mikey to learn how to use a toilet.
Oh.
Potty boy.
Yeah, oh, man. I used to really fancy Kirstie Alley when I was a kid. But, you know, watching her put a toilet seat on her head, I was kind of like, I'm not so sure anymore. And, like, they somehow managed to shoehorn in a fucking version of Beastie Boys' Fight for Your Right, which I'm just like, no. Please don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this kid's mouth moving.
Yes.
whenever
Oh,
Bruce Willis is
I put that
talking.
in there. I was like, why does his mouth move? That is not natural. It betrays the whole concept of the movie because he's commentating in his head. He's not saying these things out loud.
Exactly.
So why would his mouth move? That doesn't make any sense.
But then also that means this kid is mute for the entire film and he's like literally just mouthing along, which fair enough, I would understand that. But I don't understand what the reality is here. Is like, are they not seeing him saying these things? Like, if they could lip read, they would be privy to his inner monologue, right?
Yeah.
It's a very Family Guy-esque thing where you're just like, can they understand Stewie? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But then they lean into that sometimes. So it's just like,
true.
okay, that's fine. But like, why? Why wouldn't they just make this like inner dialogue?
Yeah.
Do you know what it probably was? I bet you there's somebody just off camera, just like squirting lemon juice at this kid's
my
mouth so he moves it.
I feel like maybe they were trying to get him to like copy them in a way, and then they would then say, okay, kind of how like I guess shows are dubbed, or like I would imagine how anime is, where it's just like, okay, these are the mouth movements, how do we fit something that makes sense into these mouth movements?
Oh, so you're saying that Bruce Willis ad-libbed some dialogue
That's what
to
I'm thinking.
match the kid's mouth?
Because then that would kind of make sense as to some of the things not making sense.
But also there was like a big thing. There was commercials for like a tea brand in the UK called PG Tips. And their big selling point was that they used chimpanzees in their commercials and dressed them up as like fucking household movers and doing regular jobs. And there was this whole thing that they were putting things on their lips to make their lips move so that they would talk and like then be voiced over. I'm just thinking, this is probably like that. They're probably
I would
just like,
imagine so too.
It's like a Mr. Ed situation.
yeah. This is like a latter day Mr. Ed, right? That's all
Yes.
this fucking kid is. Mikey finds out that he's going to be a big brother, and we get the first of many montages in this movie. There are so many fucking montages in this film. And it's Mikey imagining his life as a big brother.
Oh, yeah.
He takes the kid to FAO Schwartz,
Yeah.
and there's like a lot of kvetching about the prices of stuff, and I'm kind of thinking, yeah, that's fair. I've been to FAO Schwartz.
Yeah.
They are grossly overpriced in everything they sell. And then some kid dressed as a punk mugs him in Times Square.
Yeah.
Legit laugh from me here, I'm afraid.
Oh no.
Anytime you dress up a child to be doing something that an adult is doing, I kind of find that funny.
That's wholesome. I like that.
Yeah. He decks this little kid in the middle of Times Square. It's kind of cute. And like these kids, like the kids playing Mikey and Julie, they're cute, right?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like,
Especially Julie.
yeah, the movie hinges
cute.
on these kids being adorable.
Oh.
The baby gets its umbilical cord wrapped around its neck, so they have to give Kirstie Alley a C-section.
That was not okay. Like, let me just... I'm just gonna go off on a little bit where it's just like, I don't know, to me that was incredibly distressing to watch, and like to throw that into a comedy movie where like this is a very real thing. I don't know. I was shook by that whole scene and how she's like, I don't know, she's in labor and she has that demon voice, and then it turns out that her baby is actually like having an issue, so she has to have a cesarean, and I'm just like, they can't be doing this right now.
I mean, what makes it worse is they're like, she's like cracking jokes about this being the end of her life and stuff. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
Where she's like, the end of my very short life. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's insanely fucking grim for like a comedy to be making those kind of jokes.
Well, I mean, what year did this come out again?
1990.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, nowadays a problem like that is definitely alarming. But like more often than not, it would probably get resolved.
Sure, and they do resolve it, thankfully.
I hope.
This movie doesn't start with the death of a baby, because that's not a great way to start your comedy.
Yeah, well, I like that moment only has like a little bit of panic in it. It's a little bit of panic, and then oh, here you go, your baby's fine. And it's like, oh,
and points to this movie for using an actual newborn baby for that scene as well, because most movies, whenever they hand somebody a baby after it's been born, it looks like a toddler, and I'm like thinking, there's no way she just squeezed that through her vagina, but they do use what looks like a newborn baby.
I look for the shape of the head, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because with the newborn babies, they always have like the cone head. If they were if they were born like naturally. And then one
of the reasons why they stick the little hats on them so that people don't freak out when they see their alien baby.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have skulls.
Somebody squeezes the forceps a little too hard and we end up with a cone head. I think that was the plot of Coneheads, wasn't it? No? I don't know. I didn't see that movie.
I didn't see that one either.
Okay, so we get the first kind of like patter between Mikey and Julie here. And it's kind of funny because straight out of the gate, she just calls him an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then enter Damon Wayans as Eddie, Mikey's friend. This was meant to be Richard Pryor originally, and it's a kind of shame it's not, but never mind. I guess Damon Wayans is like an acceptable substitute.
It did fine. Oh, yeah. In Living Color was a thing.
Yeah, sure. And Eddie introduces the concept of Mr. Toilet Man to the movie. We'll get to him in a bit, don't worry. Do you know what's a better Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans movie?
Which one?
The Last Boy Scout. That film fucking rules. If you've never seen Last Boy Scout, check it out. That's a great 90s action movie. Travolta and Ali are just terrible fucking parents. Just putting it out.
Yep. They don't know how to have a relationship.
No, they don't. They're constantly bickering over how to raise the kids.
Yep.
And it's kind of like watching my parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're awful. They shouldn't be together, right? Like, this is just a toxic fucking environment. And one thing I kind of noticed rewatching this is that everybody is just incredibly mean to one another all the way through this fucking film.
I don't know. I was on Travolta's side for most of it, because he has very valid points, and she does like ignore all of them. I was trying to think of one where she actually like accepted it, but like she kind of manipulates him into taking the job that she wanted him to take. She manipulates him into thinking that her parents meant good things for him and were trying to help, instead of trying to say like your husband isn't good enough for you, make him do this thing so that he's good. Like, I don't know, there was just a lot of things that rubbed me the wrong way about her character, and she got away with all of them.
She is very much trying to shape him into like her ideal rather than accepting him for what he is. What he is essentially is a schlubby New York cabbie that flies planes as a side hustle.
In fairness to her, she's the one making the salary, and then also having to worry about the childcare, and just like she's the classic overburdened woman who is with the wrong man.
And I mean, the thing is that I would be more on her side, but then when he goes to parent the kid, then she's like, you're doing that wrong too. So he's just like, okay, well, what do I do? Like, I'm trying to be the dad. Don't make me look like an asshole.
He was trying to let the kid watch
Betty
the
Boop!
Minnie the Moocher video, which, I mean...
Spooky, scary.
Not,
I love it.
It's not... I mean, I wouldn't call that a children's cartoon.
Maybe that's where all of his weird nonsense is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, look, later in the movie, he tries to take him to see fucking Total Recall.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he wouldn't have to hide that if she was... or accepting. Maybe he could just say, hey, I took her to a Schwarzenegger movie, and she could be like, no, you gotta choose your battles with stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they all kind of suck. They're dysfunctional. It's a series of vignettes. Her brother moves in. Her brother is some jackass who likes conspiracy theories or something.
Yeah, welcome to the movie Elias Koteas. Good actor in a lot of great stuff. Was Casey Jones in those original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies as well. That came out the same year as this, actually.
Better movie.
He turns up in the movie, despite the fact that he's never been mentioned before. He's not in the first movie. He is a piece of shit straight out of the gate.
Yep.
The first thing out of his mouth is some kind of racist slur against Asian people.
Yep.
I was like, okay, fuck this character. I don't need to see any more of him, but he hangs around like a bad smell. He's kind of meant to be the charming, goofy uncle, right? Except for the fact that he like sleeps with a loaded gun beside him and shit like that.
Wild.
And I will stress once again that Look Who's Talking To is not a sitcom. It is a feature film, despite the fact that this thing hangs together like 3 badly edited sitcom episodes.
Yeah, it's a series, like I said, it's a series of vignettes.
It really is.
They take the kid to baby gym.
Oh, well, before that,
okay,
we get Mr. Toilet Man here.
Oh,
this
boy.
fucking gross toilet puppet, voiced by Mel Brooks.
Yeah, that was insane to me to look up.
Yeah.
Because the other kid tells him this story about Mr. Toilet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when they're on the playground and then mom finds a used syringe or something.
Oh, it was a crack pipe.
Freaking out. It was a crack
Which
pipe.
is also wild to me, but New York.
Yeah, hey, New York.
Yeah.
Although actually not New York. I think it was Vancouver. A lot of this was filmed in. Certainly the first one was filmed in Vancouver. I don't know if they like
Still
splashed.
have crack pipes.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, so this toilet monster thing, holy fuck, this thing's terrifying. He's like spewing Clorox all over the place. It's just weird. And he wants Mikey to pee on him. What the fuck? Is he fucking R. Kelly?
Oh no. It was just so weird, and like I get that it's not logical because child and he doesn't understand. But the phrasing, I don't know. I didn't like that.
Yeah, we go off to the baby gym. I guess these kind of soft play places were all the rage in the 90s as like daycare centers. And welcome back to the podcast, Gilbert Gottfried.
Poor guy. Just couldn't get a break. And like, I'm realizing now that I like the idea of him instead of him. And I feel bad for that, where I'm just like, yeah, I thought of him in other things that I enjoyed. And it just turns out that it's only Aladdin.
I mean, I like his stand-up. I mean, we've already discussed at length his stand-up on the Problem Child 2 episode. He was just in a shitty run of movies around this period where he was kind of like a commodity player if you just needed some wacky fucking character in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and he's basically playing a guy who I guess thinks he's a personal trainer for toddlers or something.
Is that what he's meant to be?
That's what it sounds like he's doing. Is he's trying to be motivationally getting the kids to do exercise or something.
He's just randomly screaming at children in this movie.
Yeah.
It's all ad-libbed, and these kids are paying him no attention whatsoever.
Yeah, beautiful.
And the one kid's like, is it just me or is this guy really weird? And I was like, well, it's not just you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if I took my kid to like a soft play place like this and Gilbert Gottfried was there just yelling his head off at them, I'd probably reconsider whether I'd be going back again.
Really?
You know?
Oh, I'd be so excited. Oh my god. Like if my kid wasn't like front row and center listening to his instructions, I'd be so embarrassed. Be like, do you know who that is?
And then your kid just comes home with like a bunch of 9/11 jokes that you don't want it repeating.
Oh
right?
my god.
So Travolta and Ali separate, and I'm like, thank fuck, because you two just do not belong together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and he takes the kids to see Total Recall. See what you did there, TriStar Pictures, shilling your own movies.
At one point she said, or somebody says, I may be big, but I am not stupid.
They pull this fucking shit, this obnoxious routine at the concession stand to get some free popcorn.
Oh yeah, the free popcorn thing.
Oh my god.
I mean, like, this concession stand employee should have been like wise to this, but no, they get their free popcorn. You know what? When movie theaters open again, I'm just going to pull this shit. I'm just going to stand at the counter at Cineplex and scream that I've spilt my popcorn. And some feckless high schooler is just going to give me a free popcorn, right? Because that's how it works.
Okay, so I do see both sides of this.
My kid lost their shoe inside the shoe that is in my hand. Can I go look for it? Because he doesn't even put it in his pocket. He just takes it off. It's literally in his fucking hand.
And then you could look if you put two into... Honestly, though, I would get the whole, like, I don't care, just please get out of my face.
Minimum wage high school student at the local movie theater who's like, whatever. Just
but then I also wonder if Neth would get the same treatment. So please let us know how that goes.
Do you know what? It's going to be our first video podcast. It's just me screaming in a Cineplex about popcorn. And I just want to stress again, he takes these kids to see Total Recall, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know that he says, Arnie says you're too young to see this movie because Travolta does this terrible Schwarzenegger impression.
Oh, yes.
But it is implied that they are not going to watch Betty Boop, that they are very much going to go and watch Total Recall. A movie that has mutant people popping out of people's chests, Arnie's eyes bulging out of his fucking skull as he asphyxiates on Mars, and a lady with free boobs.
Yeah.
Hey.
So yeah, he's kind of a terrible parent, but also I kind of want him as my dad. We get another montage of Mikey realizing that he's actually been a little prick to his sister. Like, he's obviously, envious of his sibling, and he kind of acts like a dick to her for all this movie.
Oh, yeah, because he ripped the head off of her little beloved penguin.
Yeah, that bit was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You killed my friend. I have to admit, I do appreciate the fact that Roseanne isn't really going full Roseanne in this part. She's pretty subdued with this voice acting.
Yeah, she's actually kind of fine in this movie, and
which I'm okay with, but I still question why they cast her.
She is she's far from fine in real life.
Oh my god.
Because
Yeah.
Fuck her. But in this movie, she's kind of makes for a passable kind of character. I think Julie is the best thing in this movie by quite some stretch.
So, quick question. When was... Okay, so the Roseanne show started...
Like 87, 88, I think.
So then she was already famous by the time that she got there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was a big get for this movie to get Roseanne. She was like the biggest TV star at the time.
No, I mean, like, so I do agree with Megan where she is animated and it's not obnoxious, but like, I don't know. I just feel as though the voices are just strange to me. Like, I don't know. I guess the only thing I can compare it to is Rugrats from when I was growing up, where like they actually had baby voices, but then when they were talking, the adults only heard babbling, which makes sense to me. And then all of the adventures that they went on, they imagined because they're children.
Yeah.
So that all makes sense to me. So the fact that they have adult voices, one of them is Roseanne, one of them is Bruce Willis, like they're talking, but nobody understands. Are they actually talking or are they mouthing to each other? They can telepathically talk to each other.
I mean, yeah, that's weird. Basically. The way the babies communicate with each other in this movie, right? It's not particularly clear about, but then I don't know, maybe we all communicated telepathically as children and just lost that ability as we got older.
What age do you think you would lose your telepathic nature at?
Probably around the time I hit puberty. No, maybe before that. I don't know. I mean, look, there are tones of Scientology in this movie. We can't get around acknowledging that both of the main stars of this movie are confirmed Scientologists, cheerleaders. The whole thing about Scientology is the idea that you are born with pre-existing memories and that childhood basically erodes those memories and you forget about where you were previously. And the whole point of Scientology is that it retrains your brain to remember those memories. That's a very loose approximation of what the idea of Dianetics is. It kind of, I shared it with you guys. There was a theory on Reddit that this is very much a Scientology recruitment movie.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%.
This movie specifically?
Yeah, the first one and this one.
Okay.
I'm not 100% convinced. I think it's more just coincidence.
Yeah, I think it's probably coincidence.
But at the same time, watching it through that lens, there's a couple of things where I'm like, I mean, it's not like Battlefield Earth level of propaganda, but it's still kind of like, well, there's some stuff in here that maybe slip through.
If you look hard enough, yes. But my thing is that if it is based on the fact that you have memories to recall when you're younger, we've literally seen her as a fetus in the belly, and she didn't say one thing about her past life and how things are cramped, but beforehand, whatever. She had this big house. I don't know.
I mean, like I say, I don't necessarily subscribe to that theory, but it made for an interesting read all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this montage of Mikey being a prick, and then
at some point her coworker hit on her. Not Rona, the other guy.
I was kind of not paying attention to what Kirstie Alley was really doing in this movie at this point.
Not gonna lie, I would have just liked to watch her and Rona for 90 minutes and interacting and hanging out. I was like, they should just live together.
Yeah, I mean, Twink Caplan's kind of good in this movie as well. That plays Rona. She was in Clueless as well, right? She played the teacher that Alicia Silverstone's trying to set up with Wallace Shawn.
And then she ends up with a brother who resembles Travis Bickle.
Oh god, yeah, I didn't actually make the Travis Bickle connection, but now I think about it, Elias Koteas is very Travis Bickle in this movie.
I think that's the joke they're trying to make.
He pulls a gun on Travolta when Travolta is entering his own fucking apartment.
Beautiful.
You would be out on the street within minutes of pulling that shit on me.
Yeah, I'd be like, get out. I don't care if you're related to somebody.
There are fucking kids in that apartment. What are you doing, you fucking psychopath?
That was the other thing, is that, like, he goes to talk to her about it, and then she's just like, it's not loaded. It's just like, are you?
Yeah, I know.
She's a little spineless when it comes to her family.
Massively irresponsible parenting, but I guess that's kind of the gag of this movie. And then we see Julie taking her first steps, and it's done to the fucking TriStar fanfare, because TriStar really is in love with itself in this film.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So we get this sequence in the baby gym designed explicitly to let Travolta dance to All Shook Up, while Gilbert Gottfried's like in the background shouting about having a stroke or something. It's like
amazing.
Nobody seems to care. Poor Gilbert.
Yeah, because this is after he didn't talk to her for several days and he was ignoring her.
Oh yeah, he like ghosts her completely.
So good.
And she like, their pet names for each other were Elvis and Priscilla for some reason.
Yeah, they've got this weird fixation on Elvis and Priscilla in this movie. It's odd.
Is that explained in the first movie? I don't remember.
No, not in the. There is nary a reference to Elvis in that first movie.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just like he just enjoyed Elvis a lot and he knows that. I don't know. But regardless, I loved that scene for some reason. I thought it was very wholesome. I liked just being able to watch him do something that he enjoyed for once, because even when you get to see him be the pilot and finally get to fly a plane because of her parents, he's having a really shit time because people suck, and I get that, but it was just kind of really sad to watch him come off the plane and he's just like, that was horrible. So then when he got to dance with a bunch of kids and he was good at it, I got it. I understood like why she liked him.
Yeah.
And I feel as though that's the hallmark scene where it's just like, no, I get it.
The contractually obligated Travolta dance sequence.
Yeah, I mean, fun fact about that plane that he's flying, that Learjet he's flying, that's actually Travolta's plane.
Oh, is
really?
it?
In real life, yeah, he's like a qualified pilot.
Damn.
I like John Travolta. Look, there's the Scientology thing that hangs over his head that makes him kind of suspect. I have got it on good authority from two people that have met him on separate occasions that he's just like a genuinely nice guy, right?
He seems like it.
And he's had kind of a shitty hand dealt to him recently. His wife died last year, which sucked.
I didn't know his wife died too. I knew his son died.
Yeah, his son died maybe like 8-9 years ago, maybe even before that, actually.
But I clued out.
But no, his wife died last. Kelly Preston, who was an actress, she was in Jerry Maguire. She's fucking great in Jerry Maguire. She died of breast cancer last year as well. Shit. He's had kind of a shitty hand dealt to him. I think he is just one of these guys that is eminently likable in movies. And I know we've said in the past that he's hammy in stuff. He's hammy in shit like Face Off and Broken Arrow and movies like that. But his arc is kind of interesting, that he was like a sitcom guy, and then he kind of broke out in Saturday Night Fever and Grease, like back to back.
Yeah.
And he just became this huge box office star. And then he kind of tapered off in the 80s. He did a bunch of fucking shitty movies nobody remembers. And then it ended up in stuff like Look Who's Talking. And it's kind of like, at that point, it was like, he's going to be a TV guy.
No.
He's going to end up as a TV guy, which, was kind of the death knell in the 90s if you were a former movie actor that ended up on a TV show. And then Tarantino casts him in Pulp Fiction. He gets an Oscar nomination, and everybody remembers, holy fuck, John Travolta can really hold the screen. He's like a captivating presence. So then off the back of that, he does another string of movies, and then he does fucking Battlefield Earth, which is, one of the worst fucking films I've ever seen in my life.
Filmed completely in Dutch angles.
Oh my god, the amount of Dutch angles in that movie is obscene. Nobody could balance a fucking tripod in that movie. It's insane. And he just kind of becomes like a laughingstock again until he does Hairspray.
Yeah.
In like 2007.
Amazing.
I was just gonna bring that up too.
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh fuck yeah, John Travolta is like a legit fucking screen star.
He just kind of disappears into that role, and that was a tough act to follow. That particular role was big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I mean he's playing the Divine part in Hairspray, and Divine obviously owned that in the John Waters movie.
Yeah.
But Travolta, like, you know, he fucking makes a really good stab at that.
Oh yeah, he brings kind of a different interpretation to the character, and that's fun. And it's great. He just disappears into it. And apparently, and you could tell he was having the time of his life.
Yeah.
When he did that role, like he fucking enjoyed the hell out of himself playing Edna.
Yeah, sure, because he was just cutting loose again. He was getting to sing in a movie again,
Yeah.
and that's something that people haven't let him do for a long time. I kind of feel like after that, he's sort of slid back into being in just sort of garbage action, straight to video action movies, or sorry, straight to fucking video on demand action movies, I should say. He's probably due another resurgence around about now.
Can't wait for his third wind.
Somebody cast John Travolta, quick.
We need to get him in like a musical, right? Because the last movie I saw Travolta in was this, I think it was called The Fanatic. It was directed by fucking Fred Durst.
Yes. The Fanatic. Oh my god.
It's like the most gonzo, bizarre fucking performance. He's playing like an autistic guy.
Oh my god.
Oh
yes.
God.
No, this movie.
Although never actually confirmed as autistic.
Okay.
No.
He's obsessed with like Devon Sawa's action star in this film. He's like running around Hollywood trying to get autographs, all this shit.
His name's Moose.
That's right, Moose. And
Oh, I've heard of this.
And he goes a little crazy and ends up like killing Devon Sawa's housekeeper or some shit like that.
It was so good. And I remember I was watching that with Cohen and one of our good friends. I couldn't get through it. We had to stop. And they keep suggesting like, how about we finish that movie? And I'm like, no, no.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. It's a really weird performance. And like, fair play to him for going all out with it. I think it's like really badly judged and maybe not the fucking smartest career move he's ever made, but we need to get him in a fucking musical, right? Let's just give him a fucking musical that lets him sing, lets him dance. Just, you know, he needs to pair up with maybe Hugh Jackman and do Greatest Showman 2 or something. I don't fucking
So then
know.
we can talk about it. I like that.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's our pitch, Hollywood guys that are clearly listening to our podcast.
Yes. Please.
Greatest Showmen.
Oh.
Love
It
it.
fucking sells itself. And we can throw Zac Efron in there too. Why not?
Yeah. I love him too.
He's in everything.
Wonderful.
Yeah, then we get a makeup montage between Kirstie Alley and her daughter because I guess she's thirsty Alley. And then the most major plot point of this film happens. Mikey learns to piss in a toilet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of stuff happens in the last 10 minutes. I was bored out of my mind, and then the last 10 minutes of this movie, I was like, oh, there's the plot.
Yeah,
Hello?
he pees in the toilet.
Yeah.
That's like the crescendo of this film. And Kirstie Alley weirdly declares this to be better than sex.
Yeah.
The fuck, lady?
No.
Maybe she's actually R. Kelly. Yeah, Travolta has to book out of there because he's got a flight, you know, as a pilot in the job that Kirstie Alley made him fucking take so he didn't have to drive a cab anymore.
Yeah. Well, he whined about driving a cab, and then he was like, I want to be a pilot, and then she got him a pilot's job, and then he's like, no, not like that.
Yeah, he's very much living on his own terms, right?
It's like, what? I don't know what kind of job you wanted, buddy.
I don't know, but like what kind of I don't think that I would ever boss my pilot around like that.
Fuck no. They're in a fucking metal contraption that could slam into a fucking mountain and kill everybody on board.
Yeah.
Do you think you have to tip the private pilot?
I don't think that's a thing, but it should be.
It should be.
I mean, it should be, right? I mean, we tip fucking everyone else,
Yeah.
so
The next time I take a flight, which will be not in the
yeah, I mean, good luck.
anytime soon, but the next time I kind of want to now just give some money to the stewardess and be like, this is for the pilot because he did a good job.
he didn't kill us, so
This is
here's a
tip.
20, bud.
This is a tip for the captain.
Should we tip him beforehand and just be like, hey, here's $20 for an incentive to not kill me, and then you'll get another $20 when we land.
As somebody that is a reformed, fearful flyer that
Yeah.
now is totally fine with going on planes, every time I board that plane, I still side-eye that pilot. Because I want to see if he's drunk like Denzel in that fucking movie where he rolls the plane.
Yes.
Yeah. She harasses him while he's in the cockpit.
She says to him, it's pouring out, right? He's about to book out of
Yeah.
there after Mikey takes a piss. And she's like, it's pouring out. I'm like, he's a fucking pilot.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
You don't get to decide whether he could drive in this weather.
It doesn't have that much bearing on how a plane operates if it's raining.
The air traffic people get to decide whether he can fly in this weather. You
Exactly.
can't just eyeball that shit.
There are paid professionals
Yeah.
that make that call. It's not up to you, Kirstie Alley, who looked out the window of her fucking New York apartment.
Decided
Look,
she was psychic.
I was on a plane that literally took off in a motherfucking hurricane once, yeah? So a little bit of New York drizzle is
Yeah.
not a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
here.
if they know what direction they're flying and what the weather's like and what the weather's gonna be, then they can gauge pretty easily.
Yeah, we landed in an ice storm. Remember that big storm like a couple of years ago where everybody's power went out? It was awful.
I mean, pilots know this shit, right?
Yeah.
It's not up to Kirstie Alley to be making this call.
Yeah.
And then annoyingly, she's right, though, because
Yeah.
the flight actually does get grounded, which kind of like...
But that wasn't her call. That wasn't her call. It was everybody else's.
Yeah, it wasn't her call. Like, she was just harassing him in a cockpit.
Long enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that he also stood up for himself too. Like he was saying the exact same thing that we were saying.
Yeah.
Where he's like, no, there are literal like high tech machines, and there are people doing their job that say this. Like just because you have a gut feeling does not mean.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, oh well, cancel that. But like even if he had to taxi out, there's still time between him like being there and taxiing out for them to be like, you know what, turn back around. We're not like clearing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So somebody tries to burglarize the apartment while Uncle Travis is looking after the children.
This is the real climax.
Is it?
This is kind of the real climax, I guess.
This is when shit takes off.
Elias Koteas chases down this fucking burglar guy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the apartment somehow manages to go up in flames while he's out chasing this guy in the street.
I'm trying to remember how it catches fire, and it's not coming to me.
Wasn't he cooking?
Oh yeah, he was making chicken or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, something got unattended, and then it caught fire, and then Mikey pushes his sister away from the fire because he was like, hot bad.
He pushes her through these flames in this highly combustible plastic baby walker.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
there's no way this kid is not getting incinerated. It's like, was this his plan all along to just like char this child to a crisp? I don't know.
I mean, she made it out, but probably not without at least second-degree burns.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of...
She's like, you saved me, even though you don't like me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, was that what he was aiming for?
But, like, Uncle Travis points his stupid, useless gun at this burglar, and then the burglar, like, knocks it out of his hand or something, and then proceeds to just steal shit anyways and run away. And I'm like, good God. What kind of fucking burglar is this?
They're down at street level, and this looks like a raging, like, 4-alarm inferno.
Yeah.
And then Travolta runs in and just puts it out with a fire extinguisher he's got under the sink. I'm like, oh, maybe it wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah, I mean, my last note is literally, let the fire department deal with it, jackass. What the fuck is wrong with you?
If you don't come into my apartment, then I don't need to pay for any of you, so stay the fuck down there.
I mean, it would be funny for him to be grounded from a major storm only to die in a fire. I mean, that
Wild.
would just be terribly ironic.
That's the ironic ending right there. So I don't know. This movie ends with everybody just happy and fine, I guess, and everything's resolved.
Great.
They're all having a barbecue. Olympia Dukakis, we haven't mentioned, but she plays Kirstie Alley's mother. She's having a barbecue, and this ending is suspiciously like the ending of Final Destination 2.
Okay.
Except none of these kids explode, so that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And that, I guess, is the plot of Look Who's Talking 2, or the scant fucking plot of Look Who's Talking 2.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Did you guys see the fucking sitcom based on these movies?
I did.
No.
So there was a sitcom in the early 90s called Baby Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think we talked about it briefly on the Blair Witch episode as well. I kind of checked out the pilot episode on YouTube this morning, and I was absolutely gobsmacked to see second build on this show, none other than George fucking Clooney.
Right.
With his sexy long hair and his...
Sporting the most 90s mullet possible.
His sexy long hair and his, like, general, like, contractor costume.
Yeah. I don't know. It always, like, freaks me out to see young George Clooney. Like, I remember I was watching Golden Girls the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And he's on there, too. And I'm just like,
yep.
Who is that? And I'm trying to, like, place the face anywhere except George Clooney.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that must be that. No, that's not that. I'm like,
no. He was on Roseanne.
Yeah. Oh, he did the rounds of like sitcoms in this period.
Yeah, he played the piece of shit boyfriend for.
Yeah, that's right. He was Jackie's boyfriend.
He was the one that beat up Jackie, and then Dan went and beat him up.
Good old John Goodman.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I love John Goodman as well. The pilot episode of this Baby Talk, kind of not horrible.
Yeah, it's not bad for a pilot.
It was okay. It was kind of, there was a few laughs. It's not Cheers, right?
No.
But as far as like early 90s sitcoms go,
yeah,
I've fucking seen worse.
I mean, it was developed by the same people that did these movies, and it's just a shame that I get why they changed the title, because they didn't want it, because this movie came out around the same time that the show was going to come out. So I thought it was like a competing franchise when I was a kid. Like, I thought they were like doing a copycat sitcom.
Sure.
I didn't realize it was the same people, and there was nothing really to indicate that other than her being an accountant. I think that's the only she's an accountant and she's single.
It kind of, on a like ratio, it probably has more jokes land than either of these movies do. So
yeah, because the premise works better for a laugh track.
Yeah, and also it works better as a 22-minute episode or something, and not a fucking 75-minute movie, because this thing gets stretched super thin, super quick.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right, because I had to pause twice, lo and behold, and they were usually around like 20 minutes or so every time. So I think you're right, is every time I got sick of it, it would have been at the end of an episode.
Do you guys want to play a quiz about Bruce Willis?
Oh,
sure.
God. Yes. No. Yes.
Let's do it. You loved him back in Die Hard, killing bad guys in a vest. Last Boy Scout, Unbreakable, you thought they were the best. It seems to me that lately Bruce Willis needs a hit, 'cause all the films he makes these days are frankly kinda shit. So I got on the internet and checked his IMDb. The titles of these movies did not fill me with glee. I'll call out some names to you of movies he did make, but which of these are actual films and which are fucking fake? Okay, so as we have done in the past, we're going to do a little quiz. We're going to go a little head-to-head here between you guys. I am going to give you the title of a movie, and I want you to tell me if it is a real Bruce Willis movie made post-2012, or if it's something that I got off a generator for random action movie titles.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Great. Okay.
Because Bruce Willis seems to have just slid into this lazy-ass pattern of making dog shit fucking films, usually filmed somewhere like, I don't know, Croatia or something like that, where he turns up for a week, gets paid $1 million, stands around looking bored, and then goes back to his Hollywood mansion.
Yeah.
Solid. What a life.
I mean, it's a good game plan, I guess. Less so for people watching these things, but okay. All right, Laura, you're up first.
Okay.
Let's just say Brucey Baby, if it's real, or What Are You Talking About, Willis, if it's fake.
Wow.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
fantastic. Okay.
I would have gone with Willis or Will Isn't, but actually, no.
Well,
wait,
that's a little too close to
that's lame.
Sean William Scott. Sean William
yeah.
Watt
Fair
for my
enough.
That's
liking.
true.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay, so Brucey Baby, if it's real, What Are You Talking About, Willis, if it's not.
Okay.
Okay, the title of the movie is Airstrike.
What you talking about, Willis?
No, I'm afraid that is actually a real Bruce Willis
What
movie.
the hell? Really?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something that an internet movie title generator came up with, but nope, afraid not. Don't Google it.
I have to now.
Just take my word for it. Don't put it in your Netflix queue. Megan,
Yeah.
is this a real Bruce Willis movie? Hard kill.
I'm gonna say Brucey baby.
And you are correct. That is another real Bruce Willis movie.
Wild.
Not Hard to Kill, not to be confused with the Steven Seagal movie, but Hard Kill.
Wow.
Okay, Laura.
Yeah.
Blood Justice.
What you talking about, Willis?
That's right. It's fake.
Okay,
I
good.
made that one. Well, I didn't make it up. The internet's made it up.
I bet there's an actual movie called that, though.
Yeah, I kind of felt like there probably was, but I couldn't be bothered to look it up. It sounds like maybe a Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just thinking of Unforgiven. Okay, Megan. Trauma Center.
I'm gonna say what you talking about, Willis.
No, I'm afraid Brucey Baby. Trauma Center is a real movie starring Bruce Willis.
That's a Wii video game, I'm pretty
I was just gonna say, that
is.
sounds like the title of a video game.
It is like a surgeon simulator kind of game, right?
There's a whole series on that. Amazing.
I think I had that on the DS, actually.
Oh, really?
Trauma Center?
Yeah, Trauma Center is like, I remember you have to like create a star or something with the Wii remote.
Yeah. You're doing like surgical incisions with the DS stylus on that. Maybe it's fucking based on the game. I don't know. Bruce Willis is not above starring in Nintendo movies. Okay, Laura.
Okay.
Hot Bullets.
Brucey Baby?
I'm afraid
okay.
not. I'm afraid that is what you talking about, Willis.
I was really hoping that it was, but...
Yeah, no, the internet made that one up, I'm afraid.
I was gonna say Hot Bullets sounds like, like a movie that like Pam Grier would have made back in the day or something.
Oh, God. I love Pam Grier, and I want to see her in a movie called Hot Bullets, please. All right, Megan. Perfect Honor.
I'm gonna say Brucey Baby.
I'm afraid not. That is also a What You Talking About, Willis. Although, again, it sounds like the kind of military bullshit that he would star in, right? Is anybody keeping score here?
No.
No.
I think I have 1 point.
I will also say I have 1 point. I know I got at least one.
So these two could be the deciders.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, who cares, right?
Yeah.
We're not keeping a leaderboard. Maybe we should start.
We don't have a guest to take this away from us this time, so...
No. Okay, Laura. Acts of violence.
Brucey Baby?
It is a Brucey baby.
Yeah, that sounds really not good.
I'm sure none of these movies are good. Even the fake ones sound terrible. Okay, so it's 2-1. Megan, this is for the tie. And because I'm British, we like a good fucking tie in our sports events. So, First Kill.
I'm going to say Brucey Baby.
And it is a tie because First Kill is very much a real Bruce Willis movie.
Yay!
And that was our quiz on bullshit Bruce Willis films.
Yeah, what happened, Bruce Willis? Is this just what he does? I guess it's just what he does in between, like, sequels to Red and like, Expendables and stuff.
I guess. I mean, there's been talk of him being in a new Die Hard movie for a while.
Yeah, it's...
No
I
thanks.
can see it on here. It's called McClane. I'm going to assume McClane is the Die Hard movie that he's making.
Yeah, it's from what I gather, it is a prequel intercut with modern day John McClane, but with somebody else playing a younger version of him. Do you know what I don't need to see? John McClane just being a cop in New York. That has no fucking appeal to me. So.
Also, wasn't he was in that not 12 Monkeys, the other one.
He was in 12 Monkeys.
Yes, he was in 12 Monkeys, but the one with where there was another guy playing a younger version of him.
Looper. With Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That was a bit of a mindfuck.
Yeah, it's a good movie. That was probably like one of the last decent things he did.
I mean, they could do like a Gemini, what was it, Gemini Man? The one with Will Smith recently? But like with Bruce Willis?
Yeah, please don't make a Gemini Man with Bruce Willis.
They could have
Leave it well alone.
Yeah.
Look Who's Talking To, you guys, would you recommend this film?
No.
Hey, I mean, if you want some early 90s baby schlock, go watch
Problem Child 2.
3 Men and a Baby.
Oh, there you go.
3 Men and a Baby, or its sequel, 3 Men and a Little Lady, which is also good. It's not as good as the first one, but it's good. And it stars Tom Selleck and Ted Danson in their prime, and also Steve Guttenberg is there as well.
But it also has Nancy Travis doing the worst English accent I've ever heard in a fucking film ever. I kind of cautiously recommend this movie. I don't think it's a good film. I do think it is actually funnier than the original in terms of the amount of times I laughed. There was a couple of times where I sort of chuckled to myself at this film. That's not saying that it is worth your time, but again, if it's on in the background, there's worse ways that you could pass 75 minutes than having like Bruce Willis and Roseanne Barr mouth off at one another pretending to be babies.
You could have a Hallmark movie on.
Exactly. If somebody super cut the scenes of them two interacting and just got rid of all the John Travolta, Kirstie Alley bullshit that's in this film, better fucking movie.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it would only be about 10 minutes long, and I am fine with that.
Or you can go watch Baby's Day Out, which is basically a Warner Brothers cartoon stretched into 90 minutes with a live-action baby crawling through traffic and under things. And
it has Joey Pants in it.
Yes,
as well.
and it has Joey Pants in it in some really
What?
cute scenes. Yes, Joey. I love the scenes between him and the baby. Those are the cutest. Everything else about that movie is totally obnoxious, but
Moving on.
yeah.
Next week on the show, Laura, what are we doing?
Beep beep.
Honk honk.
We're watching Cars 2.
Oh no, it's a Pixar movie. They can't be bad, can they?
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out, because arguably this is probably the worst one.
Does Planes have a sequel? Because that could be bad.
Planes was Disney Toons.
Was it really?
That's not
Yeah.
Pixar.
Damn.
Yeah.
But isn't Planes just a spin-off of Cars anyway?
Yes, as far as I know. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to planes and
What
cars.
are we talking here? We're talking Owen Wilson voicing a car.
Ugh.
We've got
Wow.
fucking
Wow.
Larry the fucking cable guy.
Oh.
Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh no.
Oh man,
God.
I haven't seen Cars 2. I have it on good authority. It stinks. I wasn't a big fan of the first one. It's basically just Doc Hollywood with cars instead of Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I've never seen the first one either. Although I've heard it's popular with
I
children.
remember Cars being a fever dream of mine. I think I watched it when I was sick once, so I don't remember a lot of it.
This is the turning point for Pixar as far as I'm concerned, but I guess we'll get into it next week.
Yeah.
Until then, you can find us on Twitter at Bad Numbers Pod. We're on Instagram at BWN Pod. Email the show at bwnpod@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. We're talky folks. We'll maybe reply or at least read your email on the show. We have been Bad with Numbers from Toronto, Canada. Stay safe out there. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
It's a baby! Oh, aye, baby! The other white meat! Baby! It's what's for dinner! For dinner! For dinner! For dinner! For dinner! For